podcast. I'm here with Cassandra Lauren Gordon as your host, and I'm here with
Xadi.
Xadi, the X marks the spot.
Yes,
Okay,
come
great. Okay, so Xadi, give us a line about who you are and what do you do.
I am a West London musician, I would say, artist, singer, rapper, producer. I kind of take the DIY approach to a lot of things. So yeah, that's how I would outline myself.
Okay, just interesting. Why do you put the West in? Because it's just like I never hear people say West London or repping West London.
That's it. I think I don't know. I feel like there's kind of like a lot of conceptions about West London, which is true in some parts, like obviously like Kensington and Knightsbridge, like super posh and stuff like that. But I feel like the creative scene, it's not so unified in West London. So I'm always just like, let me rep it. This is what I've always known.
Good, represent that West side.
Yes.
Good. Why don't you? Okay. So in this podcast, if you see it or you visually see it, it's like taking you back from the beginning. So how did you get into music? Like from childhood, how did you get into it?
From childhood, I think it was probably church was one of the first times where I was like around a lot of people singing. So my mum would take me to church every Sunday, kind of like grew up Catholic and my mum's Irish. And then we used to drive a lot, like every weekend we'd go and stay with my aunties and she'd always have these kind of old rock bands on, like Squeeze and stuff like that. And I just knew all the lyrics. I love singing along, Jimmy Cliff. So I always loved music, but she didn't play it a lot around the house. So I think I kind of found my own way there eventually when I started making friends at school. I was friends with a lot of Irish kids and they were all into their like guitars and stuff. Or I saw one of them play this Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley. I was like, I have to learn how to do that. So I was about 13. I asked my mum, can I get a little Argos guitar, and like taught myself how to play it on YouTube, and then started playing in bands like indie.
Hold on, I've got to stop you there. How did you learn guitar on YouTube? Because I was so super unsuccessful. I was like, oh, my fingers hurt, and then I gave up. It wasn't meant for me. How did you do it?
I don't know. I just like, I would want to learn a song and I'd watch like 6 tutorials until I learned how to play that song. And then I'd move on to the next one. But I've got quite like an obsessive nature. I was quite obsessive anyway. So I eventually managed to get to a point where I was okay. And when I was playing in bands, it got better. So then we would just go into gigs so we could drink when we were 15 and they wouldn't ask us for ID because they were like, because we were doing the performance. And then it kind of quieted down when I went to uni.
Did you do music at uni?
I did physics at uni.
What? Explain that life. What is it? You know, don't explain it because I've got 2 degrees. I don't even use it. So. Okay.
But yeah, it was the uni was a bit of a detour because it was so intense and so like full on that I didn't get to do much music. I was doing stuff like comedy, did a bit of stand up and whatever.
Yeah, I saw that. Like I saw a Guardian article. Tell me more about that. Like, how did you get into comedy?
It was just there was loads of comedy at the uni I was at, and someone took me to a show. I remember seeing it. I was like, I could do that. I think I can make the man them laugh. I feel like it doesn't seem too far. And then when I was in my second year, I just applied or went to an audition, and then one thing just kept leading to another until I'm on some committee.
Have you done Edinburgh or do you?
Yeah, I did an Edinburgh Fringe show.
Is it solo? Or did you do?
It was with 2 other people. And it was like, so I was in. I don't know if you've come across the Footlights before. Like it's like a comedy society, basically like Stephen Fry and like Jimmy Carr, or not Jimmy Carr, but all those type of old British comedians were in that. So I just ended up becoming a part of it. Did a three-way stand-up show called Foot Darks because we were all ethnic minorities. And it was kind of and yeah, that was great. And then, but when I finished uni, I was like, okay, I've done all this bit that I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I just want to make music now. I just want to make a project. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I just felt like I had the degree. Yeah. And I was just like, now at least I can do what I want and I've got something to fall back on.
Okay. So, what I'm gathering now is like multi-talented, or am I talking to a polymath here? Because then you've gone from physics to learning instruments, comedy. And I think I didn't say to you off camera, but I used to do comedy.
Oh, okay.
When I say used to, I mean very short amount of time.
Yeah.
I would be a newbie. So I think usually in stand-up, if you do over 200 gigs, you just gone over a beginner. So I did
Okay.
about 100 gigs, but
That's mad.
not saying that I was good at them. Not saying I
I
was
feel
good at
like
them.
you were. I'm catching the vibe.
But it was just, it was hard. You know what it is? And I don't know. I know we're going to talk about your music, and I didn't
Mm.
expect to talk about comedy. Sorry about that.
Mm-mm.
It's for me, it's just not. And I did a lot of my stand-up gigs in London. It was just not sustainable.
Mm.
And maybe it's a bit. Did I give up too quickly? I want to go
Mm.
back into it somehow as a creative outlet. It's just like, when you start comedy, obviously you got to pay your dues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't expect no handouts. But the thing is, like, when you're at 11 o'clock every night and there's no people there, and you can't bring a bringer, and if people don't know what bringer is, like, if you exhausted all your friends to come
Yeah.
to a comedy night, which they said when they sing your jokes about 10
Yeah.
times, and I don't have much friends, I
Yeah.
cannot sustain bringing bringers,
Yeah.
friends who won't travel random parts in some dingy pub to hear really bad comedy, right?
Yeah.
I cannot do that, right? I don't have that much friends. Anyway, so that's number one.
Mm.
The number two, it was like, it was really late. I used to
Yeah.
get home at midnight, I got to go work. Not saying it, but the thing is, like, I remember walking really, and they're not like central London pubs. They're like,
Mm-mm.
could be anywhere.
Mm.
And they don't have sometimes a tube next to them. So from a women's perspective,
Yeah.
not saying men can't, feel not scared or anything. It was, I remember I've walked down some really dubious places, getting to comedy clubs, and I felt really unsafe. So I
Yeah.
tried once to do like a morning comedy club, and I did that for a while.
That's
Uh,
sick.
but it's just like, it's just it's tricky, but yeah, I think you're going to inspire me. If you can be a polymath
That's
and
dope.
do all these different things and be very successful in it, I just need to get back into comedy somehow, but not. And you know what gets me? And I know this is not an interview about me. I don't want to be like,
No, but it's a conversation.
but you know what gets me? Like, there's something what does something to my brain and my heart. Bad theatre, bad movies, and bad comedy. I feel physical. I feel something when I hear bad jokes. I shudder.
Yeah.
And when you're a newbie, not saying that I'm special, and not saying my jokes are not bad, but when people don't prepare, or when people say, I'm just going to read something out, and I travel 2 hours to this open gig, and or you're doing something crap, and the crapness. If you're trying to do a joke, I don't mind. But when you just don't care and you're just ranting, and you're not like I'm ranting now, and you know punchlines, nothing, and you're wasting my time, and I can't get it back. You can feel me getting agitated. I was all right, but I'm getting these PDS, these.
But and the thing is, they're putting your name next to that. Like, that might be what warms up the crowd for you. Like, you can't have that. It's because you're already trying to like recover a sinking ship. So it is a bit of
Is it? So you have someone's really, really bombed, and then people are gonna leave because it's 11 o'clock. They're already seen their person or their friend. But that's, anyway, it's about music. So let me. Sorry, I just had flashbacks. So maybe I
enjoyed it.
I need to reflect when I'm talking to musicians to talk about music. Okay, let's get back to the music. Okay, great. So you did a bit of comedy. You've gone back to music. You do music projects. Okay, tell me the transition point. How did you like be more serious about music?
It was just it was all or nothing. Literally, I finished the degree, and that was up until I started doing music, the hardest thing I'd ever done, because I was at like Cambridge in it, so it was like a very intense atmosphere, and it was like you're working every single day. Like Saturdays, I'm in the lectures and all that stuff. So
what, you do lectures on Saturday?
Saturdays, for 3 years, I was there from Monday to Saturday.
Why do you have to go lectures on Saturday?
They just said there's no reason why that's not a time to work. Like, there's like it's mad. Like, it was crazy. So
it's a nice privilege to go to Cambridge to do physics, I guess.
It was crazy. But I don't even like, it's a weird one because it is a privilege in some sense, but then it was like I worked so hard from like a normal state school in it. So it was like I was like, I've done something, but I feel like I'm punishing myself. So it was an amazing experience, but I was so hard in it. But when I finished, it was
because like our parents, some parents like bullshit. I didn't go to an esteemed. Well, it's esteemed in its own right, but Cambridge and Oxford, right? So what type of kind of advantages do you get when you go to like those type of institutions? Because I feel like there's a fear of missing out. Like what type of
What
you
I
get?
mean, even there you miss out on a normal uni experience because you're not ever uh you can't live in a normal house. You still have to always live owned by the uni. So those houses don't have living rooms or anything. It's just like kitchens and your rooms. The advantages are like you can eat in a hall that looks like it's in Harry Potter every day of the week, and it costs you £5. It's mad, but yeah, it's crazy. But then the
What, £5
disadvantage,
for food for a week?
no, not the whole week, but like for this dinner, which looks like is the bougiest place I've ever been. It costs £5 to like have a 3-course meal and all of this various different stuff. So there were crazy perks like that. It's obviously really pretty. You learn loads of stuff, but then the downsides are just like it's so hard. You're working nonstop. Like
But
so
what
when
are
I
you working on though? Is it just essays?
so with me it would be like they give you a problem sheet, like a sheet of like loads of equations, different problems that you have to do. And then you have like 3-4 meetings with a professor a week where you got to sit with them for an hour and then go through the questions that you've done. So like if you don't do it, it just doesn't get it's just crazy. So when I finished, I was just like, yeah, I realized just in my heart music was what I wanted to do. And I always wanted to do that. So I didn't get a job even. I was just like, I'm just gonna make a project. I just didn't get a job. I was like, this is all I want to do. So I'm gonna make a project. I didn't think even anywhere into the future. Made the project. And meanwhile, like my mum basically teaches in a secondary school kids who don't speak English as their first language. So she works with a lot of children in foster care. So the social worker was like, we need someone to teach these kids like science and maths. So I started doing that as well. So I teach like, and it was so lovely because it was like kids who maybe come from like look like me, have similar taste in music.
Mm,
So that it was easier for them to like take on my physics advice than from like an old dude who, you know what I mean? So
mm.
that's worked really nicely in tandem because I'll work a couple hours a day on that and then the rest of the time just dedicate myself to the art.
Oh, okay. Get back to the. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So it's great to know.
No, it's yeah,
It's
it's
good to,
interesting. I don't think I've never talked about it really. So
so sorry about that. Maybe I'm damaging your street cred. So for West
no, I'm
Side, so
still a bad man out here. Like you can do both.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what I'm interested to hear is like, how did you make that all or nothing kind of approach? Because just reflecting on my life, when my mom's like, go to uni, and I'm like, I don't know why, but I just went anyway, and I
Mm,
wasted about 4 years of my life, and I can't get it back. It was
yeah,
nice partying and that, but I'm just like, am I
yeah,
using any of my degree now?
yeah.
So, or degrees. I did a
Mm,
master's as well.
yeah,
So
that's
I'm just trying to think. Is like, how did you feel with your chest for West Side? Like after Cambridge, you're just gonna be like, right, I'm gonna be a musician, and just
yeah. I think I've always had this kind of like belief. I've always believed that like anyone can do anything if you like try hard enough. Like I don't know where I have this from, and it worked when I did the Cambridge thing because before that I wasn't a good student. I didn't get good grades in my GCSEs. I was never doing well at school. And then a teacher was like, "Oh, like you're not gonna be able to do." I was like, "Maybe I could do medicine." They're like, "No, you can't. Like you don't have good grades." And I just became obsessive and I threw myself into it, and then it worked for me. So when I finished, I was like, "It's the same game plan." Everyone's like, obviously you can't do a musician. What, you just done this physics degree, da da da. And I'm just like, let me just give my everything to it and see if it works. And it's on its way to working, I hope. So, like,
yes,
so
yeah.
it's just, yeah,
There you go.
blind faith.
That makes it okay. So what was your the first project out of uni, music project? What did you do?
The first project, yeah, so I hadn't released any singles. It was just something called Honest, which was a play on words of French. Like one is like you just are what you are, and I'm honest. In the like, I had this feeling like I couldn't drop a single because it didn't encompass everything I wanted to say. Released a 6-track project, and at the time I was like, "This is dope! Like, what? Like, we got 1,000 streams here. Yeah, this is mad. This is crazy." And then like as time went on, I was just like, "Okay, I need to drop another one and another one, another one." And then it takes as things start to do well, you're like, "Oh, like what I was doing before was not doing well." Like, and you learn how to elevate and stuff. So yeah, that was
All
my
right, to
first
go
one.
back to the edit, sorry, I'm very interested in people's processes because sometimes on Instagram and Instagram Live,
Mm,
you know, I have this love and hate relationship with social media and real life. I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to perceive myself in a very polished way. I'm not even wearing makeup or anything because I know like I got to put makeup on and I'm going to. I don't have to, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's this perception of what we create on Instagram or whatever and what in real life. And
Yeah.
it's something what you said about like when you have some success and then the next bit,
Mm.
you know, what sometimes they call it like this, the sophomore slump. Like, how did you
Yeah.
deal with that? Because I think I've had that in the jewelry wear, but one of my collections did really well. I did my second collection, and it's just like that's a race. No one knows about that second collection. So,
Yeah.
how did you deal with that and get your confidence up to do more music?
Yeah, you're right. That's a great question because I think I haven't even thought about this. But when I did do that project and in my head it had done well, but obviously it's like, it's not making me any money. It's not like no one's hitting me up. I'm not getting, I think I did have a couple of months where I was trying to write songs and I'm like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I put out a track, didn't do well. And I was thinking like, oh, it could fit in here or I could do this on radio. And then it's not getting played on radio. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm just gonna write what I want to write. And I wrote this song called It's All Right, which is like really couldn't be further from radio friendly. Like I'm talking about like a lot of struggles like by, you know, Black people in London, various different people, like addictions that people have and all of this stuff. It's quite a dark song. And then it gets picked up by Spotify. They put it in one of their playlists and it starts doing really well. So I was like, rah. I had been trying to make these songs that I thought would fit somewhere, they didn't. And then this one where I was just honest.
Being yourself, right? Being your
That's it.
bloody self. Like, I never knew this till last. I knew it. You know, people. You know, you watch an American movie and and
Yeah.
just be yourself, be authentic. So
Yeah.
what does authentic mean, right? And then wait, and then you do it, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I learned that like 10 years late, too late, or something. It took me a breakthrough last week. So yeah, I'm glad it worked out for you.
It's so hard to get to that point though. Like, even though you know the whole time, yeah, I'm being myself. This is just like a part of my, yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
But how
So,
did you, sorry, I'm really interested.
no,
Like,
go ahead, tell me.
how did you start the jewelry, like, and the concepts behind it? Because I've been looking at all of the like Io, Jupiter, the pendants and rings, and I think it's like genius. Like, I was like to my girlfriend, I'm not gonna show you her Insta because I want to buy this for you as a present at some point down the line. Like, what was the inspiration and
Okay,
how?
cool. So it's a long story. So what I always like space. I don't know. I love space. So that happened. And then I was just like, oh, you know, I don't want to do like what other jewelers do. You just do a star or you do a constellation, and that's like space jewelry. So I thought, oh, I love Jupiter. It's so big. No one talks about Jupiter. Everyone talks about Venus and Mars and Saturn. No one talks about Jupiter, how big and bust that planet is, right?
Yeah.
And how it has about 67 different moons, and no one talks about it, right?
Yeah.
In popular life,
Yeah.
right? Always Mars or something else. So I'm like, what is Jupiter as a symbol for? Big boldness and exploration, because people don't really want to talk about it, but it's there and it's big and it has so much interesting things about it. And this big helium thing. And yeah, that's how it started. And I was really interested in the different Galilean moons. That's how Io is one of them, one of the prominent moons. And it's so volcanic, so much activity goes on it. You know, people just think we'll just have one moon, you know, the moon what we see at night.
Yeah.
There's so much different things will happen in space, which we just don't even. And I see space as a symbol of limitlessness. As a creative or as a person who wants to develop themselves. As you said, you know, there shouldn't be any limits. Okay, so
Yeah.
you did your physics degree. Why can't you be a musician? You know, why
Yeah.
can't you do what you want to do? And I'm sick as a child from certain places. It's like you can't do this, you can't do that.
Trust me.
That's affected me through childhood. And I, you know, and I'm as an adult, I'm like, I'm trying to unlearn that. And through my jewelry, through statements from my jewelry, I'm trying to unlearn all these kind of things where people told me no, you know? So that's my long ass story.
That's beautiful. I swear. Oh, you can see. I got
Yeah,
a little
can't see
raised. No, you can't see it, but I actually, my hairs on my arms raised. When you, that just last bit, like, I don't know, it resonates so much. That's like, literally a beautiful story. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you for asking me. Don't really ask me that, but people ask me about the other stuff. But no, I really appreciate that. Okay, so you done that All Is All Right project. So I'm talking. Remember that song which begins with M, and I really like. I think that was the first song. I think It's All Right. To me, that sounds very that sounds very radio friendly. That song to me, because maybe because of now, maybe because a lot of
Yeah,
people are doing
yeah,
it now. So when I was hearing
yeah,
it
yeah,
now, that song seems very radio friendly. But before I
yeah,
even let me do some scene setting, because sometimes I get very excited in podcasts and I don't give no scene setting. So
yeah,
what do you? I have my interpretation of your music and
yeah.
how I found you. How would you describe your music?
I would say varied. Quite,
No, come on.
No, I would say okay. The overarching theme, I would say introspective.
What
Very like,
genre? Let's
oh,
because
genre. I would say like,
I don't want to put you into a box,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
who don't
Okay,
know you,
yeah,
just
yeah. Okay, I'd say like alternative rap, alternative R&B,
okay.
somewhere in between those places. Yeah.
Okay. And then you talked about how you relate to your music, so which is the introspective and
Yeah, so then like I would say a lot of the time I'm reflecting on stuff or things to do with that environment I grew up in, or a lot of it actually stems from like a juxtaposition between, being growing up somewhere where it's always been kind of calm, but also like that kind of state school upbringing, in not for all people, but in my experience in West London, like you've got people close to you end up selling drugs and all of this various different crazy stuff. And for me, yeah, like I have people very close to me where I've seen the ins and outs of like a lot of different experiences, like kind of this more street kind of stuff, and then juxtaposed with seeing really wealthy people and people who are totally out of touch with it. So I think that perspective forms a lot of the music that I write.
understood. So that's the stimulus. That's how you get. Okay, that's
I think a lot of the time, yeah.
okay. So I kind of interrupted you mid flow when you was talking about your create project, and then you did like things didn't go so well, and you kept on going. So how did
Yeah,
you keep on going to make sure that you're right on track of where you want to go in your music career?
I think at that point especially, I was like, maybe I should quit. I was just like, what if everyone's thinking like, oh, like, why it's weird he's doing music, all of this stuff. Like, I should just like try and get some kind of job. But every time I thought about getting like a stable job, like it just filled me with fear. The fear was just not having the choice to do what I wanted, which is so weird. Like, but I've always been a kind of person like that. So I said this to my cousin the other day, because I've got like cousins staying with me, and they were like, "What time did you get up?" I was like 8, and they were like, they're 16, so they're like, "Why did you get up at 8?" Like, I'm sleeping until 11. I was like, I could sleep until 11, but I like the fact that I can choose not to, and I can choose to work. Like, I don't think I would be able to work as hard if I didn't have the choice to do that. And it results in me, I work every single day, but I like the fact that I could just sit around and play FIFA all day. I don't know why.
Choice, the choice.
Yeah, yeah, it's the choice. It's the choice, and maybe it's like a fake belief of choice because I'm still in some system. I still buy into the fact that I'm putting it on Spotify. Spotify gets listens. I get paid off that, but I believe that I have some kind of freedom. Um, so yeah, I did that, and stuff started to pick up a bit. Still hadn't like never heard from record labels or anything, but I was just like, it's getting streams. This is really cool. Like, I felt great, and then went quiet for the rest of that year. And it wasn't about choosing to, it was like, okay, I'm working on the next thing. And it just took me so long. I think when I'm trying to put together an actual project, it the letting go is so hard for me. I just find it so difficult to be like, that's complete, that's good enough for me to let people listen to. Um, so I waited another 6 months. Now it's January 2020. Put out my second project on Day Ends. That started to get me on radio a little bit and stuff, and I was meeting people and whatever. Then I started doing this series of like Instagram freestyles as lockdown came. The first lockdown, I started doing Instagram freestyles, and it started like Koji Radical put me on his thing, and then it started building little bit more of a following and stuff. And then around that time, Nina, who I did the track Manana with, she must have hit me up and just been like, "Oh, I really like your stuff. Let's work." Like, and I listened to her song, and this was before, like, she's got her music does crazy numbers, like, and it's amazing, so it deserves to. But this was before it had like properly blown. I was listening to it. I was like, "This girl is sick. Let's do it." That day, start making beats. I was just making beats, and I wasn't sure if she wanted me
So
to
you
like.
produce your music as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, YouTube, literally learned how to do it on YouTube, and mix and master it at YouTube. Like literally, yeah, like
So
it's
you're like a one-man band, like do everything. Amazing.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to devalue it because I'm a one-woman
No,
band to try to do everything for a jewelry brand, but it's hard, man. It's hard. I
it's
know.
hard, but also I'm sure you can relate in that case that it's like it's very difficult to trust other people with your art. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure you're like, I could get someone else to do this, but I'm gonna do it properly.
Well, I'm thinking it's like more like money. I'm like, I don't want to part
Yeah,
with the money. I don't want to part with it yet because
yeah,
until I get, obviously, hopefully when I get bigger, I can
yeah,
outsource and I can employ people and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I feel like, as I said, I think what sets for me when looking at some
Mm,
independent artists, not like I'm a big connoisseur, but it's just like
mm,
you're very careful where how you do your projects and very careful
yeah.
how you put yourself out there, your brand, and that what
Mm,
makes it stand out, I think.
yeah, I know. Definitely. I think that's it's super important. And I think yeah, you're right though, what you're saying about like because it's true when you're at smaller stage as well, you have to be careful where you spend the money. And you're thinking like, okay, I could spend this here, but if I can figure out how to do it myself, then I can spend that on marketing or something else.
Okay. So tell me, okay, so there's a lot what come out of there. So you talk.
Sorry, I was rambling.
No, it's good because I'm just trying to pick out what would be useful to people who are creative or they feel a
Mm,
bit stuck and they
mm,
want to get more inspiration. And music, I think jewelry is so oversaturated as a market, and also
yeah,
like musicians,
yeah,
And so I was just thinking, okay, so you talked a bit about your creative process and what inspires you. How do you do a collaboration then? Because some people might think, oh, I don't know what to do. Because me and you, like, I just said, just randomly, maybe I'm a bit of a stalker. I'm like,
mm.
this music, I see that this guy seems to be cool with his Instagram. I know it seems about superficial, but there was something,
No, yeah,
like music first. Like I
yeah,
see you, I just knew on Spotify,
yeah,
music first, Instagram connection.
yeah, totally.
So how do you reach out to people to do collaborations? Because some people might be scared, have imposter
Yeah,
syndrome. How do you put yourself out there?
I am the worst for that, and I don't do it as a result because I
But
again because
it seems like you got a lot of collabs.
yeah, but it's like so because I produce everything, it means I don't know any producers, so I don't know people who know other musicians. So the only people I've collaborated with are my friends. Either so Daniel Ade is someone who I've done numerous tracks with. Nina, I don't know how she found my stuff, but and we had a couple of mutuals as well. But she hit me up, and I was like a massive fan of hers. So I was like, yeah, totally. But I'm really bad at reaching out because I can't handle the rejection. I can't handle
How
it.
are you supposed to do all this Cambridge and be a musician and
Oh,
you don't have rejection? How explain that life?
I
Because how
don't know. Like
it's
it's
like you said, but you're obsessive and you're gonna do it.
yeah, but single-handedly, I'm like, oh, like, I
Okay.
can't handle the idea of just being like, and I have done it a couple of times, and it's been so peak. I've DM'd someone, I'm like, I think you're sick. It's not like they're some big artist either. Like they'll be at similar level to me, catch some air, and I'm like, fam, I can't hold this. Like I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So I think my collaborations have been a lot out of luck or people hitting me up. But I think that's definitely something I could be better at because the times when I have done it, like when we made Mañana, um, it was one of the most beautiful songs I've made. And it was like I described it because one of my friends who paints all of my artwork, I kind of described it to him like if you were making a painting and you didn't know how to finish it off, or you had done half of it, if there's someone you're making that with that could do that in a different way, it's like they can add to it something you couldn't even imagine. They could do something, you take it in a direction you couldn't. So it's like it makes it so much more like so many more possibilities that I'm like I really should be better at just telling people they're dope and working.
There you go. Well, let's see how it goes. 'Cause I'm sure like you're very determined. You seem like you're very strategic as well. So I feel like you're gonna be on your path, and then if I ever hit you up, you just ignore me, like then I'd catch air because you know, like small time
Never,
creative, small time
never,
journalism.
never, never, never.
I'm messing with you. Okay, so this thing I was gonna ask you this, but now you brought up this Spotify life, right? How
Hmm.
do people? Because that's how. Okay, let me tell you my relationship with Spotify. When it came out about 10 years ago, I was like, me and Spotify are best friends. I'm not
Yeah,
paying for nothing. The
yeah.
ad came like every other 5 songs. And
Mm.
Spotify went mad with like every 2 seconds there was an ad. I was like,
Oh, that's crazy.
go away. And then
Yeah,
people must have complained like me, like, I'm not paying you no money to listen. Anyway,
yeah.
recently, me and Spotify are best friends now.
Mm.
So that's how I'm discovering people, because
Yeah,
the experience compared when I go on Amazon Music or on YouTube Music, I pay
yeah,
premium, it's just totally different.
yeah.
So how does someone like yourself who's on the grind, wants to be a musician, so how does someone get onto this Spotify life?
So the first thing is like anyone basically can put a song on Spotify. You have to
Do
just
you have to pay?
yeah.
Oh,
So
I didn't
you
know
have
that.
to pay.
Sorry, you don't have
Yeah.
to
So
give the price,
no.
but
So no. It's not a lot. You have to pay basically like you can find these small things called aggregators. So there's stuff like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby. They're basically websites where you pay. So for instance, for me with DistroKid, I would pay £20 for the year, and then I can put unlimited songs up basically. So then they will just distribute it to the thing. So that's how it kind of got started. But then as you start to get a bit of a buzz around your name or more starts to happen, the actual people at Spotify will start to notice it. If you start submitting the songs to be considered for playlists, then if you release something good, they will put it all like that they've noticed. They'll put it in their own playlist. So the ones that are like, yeah, like New Music Friday, all of those kind of things. And that generates massive amounts of traction. So then from there, streams start coming in. It goes into Discover Weekly. Get there about like 20. When you get about 20,000 streams, some around there, it will go into Discover Weekly, and then people who like that type of music get recommended it, and then it just grows from there. So it is
oh,
a yeah, it was a lot to learn. I think like there's so much to it. Like you've got to upload a track like 3-4 weeks before it comes out, so you can submit it for playlist consideration and all that kind of stuff. So it's a weird one, but it's good, and I quite like it because it means if a song starts doing well, it will probably continue to do well for a while. So it means you can passively earn some income when you're on your low or when you're just trying to get to the next release.
oh, that's amazing. That's really good to hear that it's kind of democratic. I mean, if it's good work, it's good work, right?
Mm,
It's not just about like a fad,
yeah,
I'd always believe in the saying like when you produce good work or if it's dope, people will come.
yeah,
Sometimes when I'm a bit like, why am no sales or I start crying. But then as you said, when you're at your low, somehow there's like a peak, like it goes up.
yeah,
So I'm just
yeah.
learning to trust the process. So thank you for explaining for me being in
Mm,
love back with Spotify and possibly giving me their money. I probably will give them money again. So
yeah.
they're really creating a really good experience for me, and also Mixloud as well. I like
Oh,
Mixloud.
Mixcloud. I've never really used Mixcloud. Yeah.
Yeah, because for like DJ kind of like,
Mm,
oh, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm pretending like I'm going to a club or stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah,
So you don't have to skip. Okay,
yeah.
cool. So you talk about collaborations, talk about streams. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a weird question. So when you have a project, when you say project, you're talking about like an EP or you're talking about a song? An
Like an
EP,
EP. Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. What comes first? Like, do you write the songs first? Do you have the overall umbrella concept? How do you kind of get from the idea to actually, since you do everything, to actually putting it up to like Spotify?
You actually asked me at the perfect time, literally the perfect time, because today was the day that I understood the arc of this next project I've been working on. I've written 5 songs, 4 or 5 songs over the last like first one I started writing in October last year or something.
What, that long?
Yeah, it's been so long, but I've been picking different bits about and having to leave it for a month and all of this various different stuff. I had this collection of songs that I felt flowed properly, but I was like, and I kept as I say, yeah, as you say, like it's so long, and I think it's because I couldn't let go because it didn't mean enough to me. Last night, and as well, I get into a state where I'm like, I'm not going out from the house. I'm just working all the time, working. I'm not going to see people. Last night, I broke that as well. I saw my guys got super blazed, and I'm just like, usually I'm like, this is bad, it's unproductive. Wake up today, still feeling a bit woozy. Just sit down, write for like 2 hours, and the story of this EP just came out to me, like the artwork, the way that all of the songs linked with each other, the way it was like setting the scene, the narrative of like the feeling boxed in, but also believing that that's not real. And then there's a happy song, and that's kind of like, but the lyrics are still dark. And then that's kind of me still being in the place where even though I'm with everyone and I'm having a good time, the brain is still on those other thoughts. Anyway, that was actually so incoherent. But to answer your question, I think the concept was already there. It was just a matter of me like discovering it. That sounds so like
Oh, I just had to discover from
yeah, I had to discover it. I picked it from the stars. Do you know what I mean? But it was almost like that. It was like I understood how they link with each other.
Yeah, I kind of get the concept. I'm just trying to think like how I just trying to translate.
Yeah. No, I want to know. I'm really interested.
Like, like I don't know. Like when a sculpture has a big block of marble. It's like you're chipping away at it until you get
That's genius.
what you need. It's not genius. Yeah. I think I stole it.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it's genius. You brought it to me.
I can't attribute who I took it from, but that's how I see it, and it's just what gives me faith when you talk about your process. Things takes time. And sometimes I always feel like I have to rush a collection, or I have to rush it. And it's very frustrating for me for my jewelry. One of my jewelry collections, like, because I don't have that rich husband yet. My rich husband, you want to donate money to me to get money because I work in precious metal. It's taken over a year to I haven't finished my collection yet. And it's good for some reasons, because sometimes I believe in rapid prototyping. Just means like having a iterative process. I think I've said it right. So sometimes things don't work and you're like, oh crap, I haven't put it out there in the universe, so I can still have times to change it. So I'm getting used to that kind of prototyping and testing instead of just rushing something. So I think I just got inspired there, just having that belief, like it took you from October till now. I can't do the math. Is it over nearly 8 months or whatever? How long it took you to do this?
It's so true. But it's so interesting what you're saying though, because I'm so bad for that as well. Being like, oh, I've got to put something out every month. Obviously with music, you can kind of do it with singles, but I'm trying to fling stuff out because I'm like, I need to remain present in people's minds and keep stuff going. And it really takes away from like the patience you need to make a project, like to make something like your collection. But I think it's so interesting what you're saying, that like, I wouldn't ever think like a jewelry line would be like, you'd be like, oh no, I need to get this out. But in every art form, you will be like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think in a way, I might see jewelry different. Maybe I'm a bit weird. I see like putting out albums.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last, and it's really, really tricky. Putting out things there, and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So when someone's in gold or silver, it's like, oh, just make this. And it's like, have you got money? Have you got Beyonce money?
Yeah. Where the peas at? Yeah.
Every sale, like I'm sure every stream, every merchandise you do, it goes straight back into you reinvest and you reinvest.
Yeah, totally.
Reinvest. So I'm making more, more strategic decisions than me just like, this is how I feel. I'm an artist. I just put something out.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the story? What is who is it going to?
Yeah.
How do I leverage that? Blah 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 blah. But that leads on very nicely as a segue of like how I keep on saying, like how, especially looking at your Instagram and the people who you connect with, how do you curate yourself online as a brand? Because I guess you do that by yourself, right?
Yeah. But I don't actually think about it too much, but I know that I've got things that I like the look of and things I don't like the look of. And I'm like, always in my head, I felt like if I'm going to start doing this, because I always felt like I started making music late as well. I'm like, it needs to look like it's a professional thing. Whatever it is I do, it has to look proper. That's when I started doing videos, is with people who used to make short films and stuff like that. Because I'm like, it needs to look like it's a serious thing. So I think on Insta, if I'm curating myself, half of it is me. I try and, because I realized that as the music grows a bit, you actually have people who are just invested in you as almost like a fan. Like they have found your music and they follow you. And so I try and get my personality in there a bit, but it can be hard. So sometimes I just like, if I find a photographer who I've worked with on a shoot or something and I like their stuff, I'll keep in touch with them and I'll keep working with them and I'll post their stuff. So I think I try and stay consistent, because my artworks for all the singles I do is done by my like best friend from when I was 11. And he was,
Yeah,
yeah,
I like it.
yeah, and
How
it's
do you
like,
describe it? It's like the paint. How do you describe it?
yeah, it's kind of like, it's quite abstract, and
Yeah.
it's almost like 3D, because he uses a certain type of brush stroke where the paint actually comes up off of the page. So when you look down at the image, it gives you a kind of unusual texture. And he's been like, he's not a mixed race kid as well. We were constantly confused at school. He was, again, a self-taught painter. I was a self-taught musician. So it was like a beautiful full circle thing where it was just like, he does that. And I feel like that actually made me look much more like a brand, because every release has the same style of painting, but it's a different thing. So I think a
Reminds me
lot
of,
of it was just luck.
like Disclosure, the band where they have
Yeah.
their kind of squiggly line
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like
Mm.
that kind of reminded me of that, but not really,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
No, I get you. Like the same theme
Yeah,
almost. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's a
That's dope.
continuation, there's that consistency. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so touched, because I'm always like, oh, I'm not doing like a good enough job of like keeping it together.
Because maybe I'm in a part of my life where I'm not just looking at. I'm like, I try to have more reflection in my life. Like, why do I like it?
Mm.
And being a jeweler, I learned, like, I'm trying to be more like an art director. Like, I'm trying to think about, okay, how things
Yeah.
look visually, not just because it looks pretty. How and
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but I'm learning really, really fast. And when I see artists who do that, like yourself, I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this? How does
Mm.
that relate to his music? How does that relate to that person's music? What did they try to communicate? And it's such like that. Your visuals is just speak so much. Because why do people do music videos? You know
Mm.
what I mean?
It's so true. And it's so true. And it's just like, really, especially at this stage, it's branding almost. It's just like, I learned from the people that I was making videos with that I can actually tell a better story. Like I can make this 2D story of the song into a 3D, whole
Layers.
thing. Yeah, exactly. So I take a lot of, and I've had music videos done before that have never come out, and they will never come out because it didn't look how it needed to do, and money was wasted. But I was like, it's not. It will be damaging.
In the archives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
At
just
the
there. It's
re-release,
locked. Yeah,
someone
yeah,
never director's cut footage somewhere.
yeah.
It'll be recycled.
One day it's gonna come out and burn me.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so tell me more about the music video. I don't know why I thought about the bath. I don't know.
Yeah,
Out of
it was
everything what you've done, I'm
striking.
like, the bath sticks out.
It was weird, right?
Yeah.
Basically, so it's directed by someone I know called Phoebe Brooks, and the director of photography is this guy called Jack Worrell. They work at like a production company that does films or like adverts and stuff like that. So like quite serious. They have, the first video I ever did with them was for It's Alright, and it was shot on the same camera they did like The Dark Knight on, or The Joker or something. But it's because their work, I mean, well, I probably shouldn't say this, but they managed to sneak it out from work on the weekends, and so we didn't have to pay for it. All this, um, and so after we did that, we just got a really good connection because I was at uni with one of them, and it was great. And then we started doing I sent the song acting up to the director, and I was like, the only thing I feel about this visually is it makes you feel like you're underwater. She hits me 2 days later, do you have a bath that's outside? I'm like, nah, like I don't have a bath. She's like, okay, can you get a bath? Go on eBay, get in some bidding war over a bath. Genuinely, I'm in a bidding war in this bath. It costs about £32. I managed to win the bidding war.
What about delivery? How does that work?
This is what's mad. So then I have to get my friend who has like, because my mom's car is a Fiat 500. I'm thinking it's not going to fit in there. So I have to go get my mate whose dad's got like some kind of old Audi or something, one of those long, short cars. And we go around to their place. It's in like, this is a mad story. Yeah, we go to like North London, Neasden or something like that. Like bougie looking houses. We get there, call the woman. The husband's there, opens the door. The house is crazy. Like the house is mad. Like open plan. Like all just starts chatting. He was up for a bit of a chat. It takes me up to the room. The bath is in one of the rooms. Start carrying it down. I see all this like cartoon memorabilia and stuff like that. And he starts asking me what we're using the bath for. I'm like, I'm actually using it for a video. It's not actually going to be in my bath. And he's like, oh yeah. Starts telling me about his. He turns out he takes me into the toilet downstairs, opens the door. 5 BAFTAs are just sitting there. He's got 5 BAFTAs just chilling there, just chilling on his toilet. And I'm like, bro, like, what do you do? It turns out he made all of the Batman games, like Batman Arkham Asylum, all of these like video games. And he's like, yeah, you can have the games for free. Like, so he gives me the passcode. So I get on my PlayStation, I got all these games. And then he gives me the bar. Took it back, shot the video. It was so mad.
You
shot
see,
the video.
you don't know. And you just don't know. You're a smoker. You don't
It was
know.
so mad.
All for a £32 bath. And what
Yeah,
happened to
exactly.
this bath? Where is this bath now?
Oh, so it was in my garden for a very long time. Mum was hassling me like, get rid of it. Like, I don't want it there. And I was like, maybe we could turn it into like a flower bed. We just like put all the, and then I was like, maybe we could cut it and turn it into a sofa. She's like, no. So eventually we managed to sell it on Free Cycle, or not sell it. Put it on Free Cycle. It was it's nicer than the bath I have in my house. I don't fit in my bath, but this bath was hefty. But anyway, long story short, it's gone now.
Sacrifices mom's happy. You gotta keep these moms happy. Or
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you just gotta keep them happy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they had a happy ending for it did Free Cycle.
Yeah, in the end, yeah. Went to a happy home.
Okay, great. Cool. So it's interesting you did collaboration with people you like, but how do you do any more type of like treatments like for the other music videos? How do you like, is it more structured? Just asking.
Yeah, so that
it's fine, but
so that one was really impromptu because it wasn't even supposed to be a video. It's supposed to be like just something that you see on Spotify when it's like a little
tell me what's that? What's that business?
That's called a canvas. So you can put an 8 to 15 second video.
Yeah, I see that. I was like, it's not a video, but it is at
exactly,
the same time.
Exactly. So that's all I wanted to make. But the director's like, nah, like this is gonna be crazy. So in the past when we did It's Alright, which is probably one of my favorite videos, it was like a really long treatment of the places that are important to you in your life, how we can represent your like ambivalence towards stuff and just the world is going on around you and all of that stuff. So when we did that, and it was a super long treatment, we're touching up all of this various different stuff. Then when I moved on to the next song, which was Mañana, the next big video we did, I actually wrote the treatment for that because I'd learned how to do a treatment before, did that. And then the next song was deep lockdown. I was like, I'm just going to learn how to shoot a video myself. So that was the track Movies. Made a little treatment, learned loads about lighting on YouTube again. I was just like trying to make it all right. It's not my best video, but it was okay. And yeah, I will always be very involved with the process of writing a treatment because I think like, yeah, if you're making a video, that's like the real pure collaboration because it's like someone who knows about that craft and how to translate your words into how it should look.
Okay. So since you're involved in so many, you think of so many pies. What about styling? You seem to be a bit of a fashion head or a jewelry.
Oh.
So how did that? You seem to mix fashion. So explain your relationship with the fashion and the jewelry.
Yeah, it's a funny one actually because my dad is. So my parents have, for as long as I've been like sentient, have been separated, but he is obsessed with fashion to the point where like if you saw him, it's weird. Like it's like not crazy, but as in like I remember being at sports day. I'm year 5. Like this don comes in some kind of like Ralph Lauren short shorts or something like that, and like everyone's like, "Is that your dad? Like, why is he dressed like that?" And I'm just like, yeah. So he's like, so it was always a thing where he was like, he's like, yes, maybe you can have the. What was he like? The comme des garçons. Like he's always like he always just like.
What background? Sorry, I have to ask you.
My dad's from Senegal.
Senegal, okay, cool.
Yeah, my dad's from Senegal. Mom's Irish. So like
the west then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The tip. But he was always just super into it, and he worked in shops like matches and various different things as a kind of like sales assistant. He just loved his fashion. So that was, I think, always was like I would be wearing something that I thought was cool, like I'm wearing a Nike tee, and he's like, maybe you can do Reebok's coming back. He's like giving me advice when I'm 14. I'm like, like now I gotta think about this. And a really close friend of mine, Kobe, who's in a lot of my videos, is really into styling. He does styling and has done a couple of shoots. And when we're at school, somehow we're all in the same uniform, but he just looked cooler than everyone else. Like he just had his trousers a certain way. So when I do a lot of my music video shoots, I get him to style them, and he's just got a great vision of how stuff should look. So yeah, that's it really.
That's amazing. But you're wearing jewelry now. I've got to ask about your jewelry for people who can see it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the jewelry ensemble.
Okay, so this is just a silver chain that. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Silver chain that's from Senegal. I was in Senegal a little while ago, and I just picked this up. This pendant and this thing is made by a jeweler called Francesca Villa, I think. Okay. He was an Italian jeweler, and it has like, I don't fully know the meaning because my dad gave it to me, but it's got like a kind of dancing person in the middle, a musical note with a little sapphire in it, and a house. And I don't but somehow it's all of the things that are important to me. My right hand, I've got like, this is a ring that has like some prayers on it from Senegal. It's quite unusual, but it's like, it's made of silver. This ring, which I've only recently started wearing, but this is the most like amazing thing I have in terms of jewelry.
It's got initial, no, not initial. It's got the Greek. I can't remember
the Alpha and Omega thing on it. So this has the craziest story. It's like my mum's parents were like Irish immigrants. Her parents moved to England, but her auntie and all of these lot moved to America. They moved to Boston. Her aunt was a nun. She became a nun, and like, yeah, it's all mad. She became a nun, like, and she was in the nunhood for so long, like she became like the kind of mother superior or something. Then, like at some point, her and one of the younger nuns run away together. So they were actually in a relationship. So obviously, yeah, so it's mad, like, but it's obviously that's not like allowed, especially in those days, by the nunhood, the convent. They send them back to Ireland. And then the younger one basically sets up this old people's home, which she is in charge of. So her and my aunt basically can be together. And this was like the ring of their, like, obviously they can't get married at that time, but this was like their wedding ring. So it was like, but it got passed to my mom after she died. But it's like, it's one of these really religious ones where it's got Alpha and Omega for like God's love. The heart is in rose gold because it's supposed to be like Jesus's blood. And then it's got this little diamond, which is supposed to be one of the nails on the cross. It's mad. And then I found it in my mom's jewelry box because she doesn't wear jewelry. I was like, can I rock this? Is that cool? So yeah, that's
I love how it wasn't passed down to you as an heirloom. You just like took it. So
I took it. She was like, I'm not wearing it.
Gold ring, took the brass ring. You took what you wanted. It wasn't. I was gonna ask, was there a romantic story from your mom to you?
Nah,
can I have it? And
it was no story. And even these ones from my dad is just because his girlfriend says he wears too much bling, so he's like, stop wearing it.
So you're keeping on the love alive,
Yeah.
It is. Oh wow. Exactly. So you see, that jewelry, what really means a lot to you, a lot of concepts and stuff like that, and as part of your heritage. So that's really good. Some people just wear jewelry because it just looks nice, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's a type of adornment, but these things seems to be with you for a very long time or for the rest of your life, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. What started your relationship with jewelry?
I think it's always parents, isn't it? You'll go back to parents. My mom gave me something, a locket. I don't have it now, somewhere, about 20 odd years ago. And I knew it was very expensive and I took care of it. And I thought, my mom is like Jamaican, so not saying all Jamaicans don't do this, but it's just tough love. She never said, "Oh, you're a nice person," or "I love you."
Yeah.
But when every time I did something good, she used to give me jewelry. So I thought, "Oh, jewelry means love," or jewelry means something. So, and it's weird for me making engagement rings for people and stuff like that. You just see how much effort people put into these kind of things. So that's my relationship with jewelry. And I thought, I want to learn how to do it. And that's how I got into it. And I feel, I don't know, I don't talk about race, but since we're here now, the Black woman, if I see something racial, but anyway, I feel like with jewelry, it's the one place to me where I feel that I'm not really censored. It's where I can adorn, where people will say stuff, or it could be a talking point, but I won't feel censored. I feel censored sometimes by my hair when I speak, if I wear big fashions, but I could personalize my hands on my rings and my ears. I don't have many piercings or anything like that, but I can personalize that. And I don't think people would draw too much attention or would feel any less than. than if I did something to my hair or certain fashions I wear. So I feel, yeah, the least censored in my life when wearing different pieces of combination of jewelry. So
That's so interesting. That's like also amazing. That's like a beautiful part of it, I guess.
yeah, and I think it's self-expression, so I can express myself secretly, and I know what things mean to me. Like you don't know what that means. I do it. I
Yeah.
can do that, and I don't, and I feel very, liberated in a way.
Mm, that's so
So
beautiful.
that's just my
That's
little take
wonderful.
on
Yeah,
life.
it's
Okay.
amazing. I'm
So
touched. I'm literally, I don't know why. I just, yeah, that's
no, that's
amazing.
very just connection. I feel like that's where you don't know. I think this is the beauty of online, and with lockdown, some
Yeah.
you don't you what I've learned, you just connect with like-minded people, because sometimes I feel like these like-minded people will just be, I meet them at certain events, and it's
Mm,
not like that. So I'm very maybe like you in a way, a bit more. I'm very intentional now,
mm,
especially since lockdown. I reevaluate my relationships. I reevaluate what I consume and people I want to
mm.
reach out to than I was before lockdown. So
Yeah,
I'm very intentional, and I just want to be around people who are positive vibes, good vibes, and create dope stuff. And
that's
hopefully
amazing.
that will rub onto me your dopeness. Rub on
I'm trying to get some
me,
from you. So.
so I can live my life
Yeah.
and be in this crazy jewelry world or fashion world, and people just
Mm,
recognize what I do, and I can make a decent living out of it, or a healthy living out of it,
totally.
But before we go, because not taking too much of your time, so we talked about how you get your branding, how you described your music. I was gonna ask you about how do you get your stuff onto radio? Because I know that you present some stuff on Resent Radio and stuff like that. So for our artists, like, how do I get myself? How do I get radio play? How was that journey, and how did you do it?
Radio play, I think again, I've been a bit lucky in a certain sense. Well, I mean, just in by way of BBC introducing, like I put like they've got a thing online where you can just upload your music to BBC introducing. And fortunately, I got picked up a couple of times. I had so many songs that just get listened to and nothing. Sometimes it gets put on. My manager, who literally I met at uni, so it wasn't like had some kind of vast experience, just emails people bears. Like he was emailing so many hosts that represent, and they would listen to it and be like, okay, there's something I like here, get me on as a guest. Then they've got some campaign, or we're doing a 2021 artist spotlight that happens. So I think it was just persistence, making sure we hit them up every time something came out. And but it's so like throughout all of this there's been, which I feel like it's easy to try and like erase from your mind. There's been so many times where I've been like, oh, I should just quit, it's not good enough, or no one wants to hear it, it's not going on radio, da 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 da. But if you can push through that, I think there's always something good on the other side of the darkness.
It's interesting that you admit that you have a manager, which is really good, because some people
Yeah.
do it. So how is that? How's the relationship with the manager? Because I talked to this, I don't know if you know them, Neo
Oh
Soul.
yeah, yeah, I've worked with them.
Yeah, then they manage people, and they talk
Mm,
about the relationship. So how is it working with a manager who can see your vision and get results? Because sometimes some people say I'm your manager, and they
yeah.
can't manage or get you where you need to go. So I'm just trying to pick out, with people listening, especially in this R&B world, or
Mm.
in this independent world, how do you choose the best manager for you?
For me, I didn't. Literally, it was before I even made my first project. But I had done a couple of freestyles that got a bit of traction at uni. He was at uni with me and was like, I would like to help you with stuff. And I was like, I need help, because I can't even send an email without the fear of them just being like, nah, like we don't rate that. Like I would rather someone else does that on my behalf. Started from there. And it really helped me because he's just another guy, same age as me. Like he doesn't like, it's not like there was some wealth of experience, but it was just like, okay, we're gonna have a deadline. If you can finish this song by then, that'd be great. All of this stuff. When I make a release, he'll email the radio stations, um, hit up the playlisters and all this stuff. So it's like I think it's probably good to start with someone who also isn't in it to get something from you. It's just that they believe in what you're trying to do. And it was just, I can do all of the creative side of things, but I can't do the emailing people and doing this and helping me various different things. So I think it started off with someone who just can help you do stuff and apply for things for you. And I think that's really important to understand that even if you want to be fully in control, there's some things that are just going to be too long to do. And some people manage to do it without management, but for me, it was just like, it's just who I am. I need also just some coaching and sometimes someone to be like, yeah, you're great. That's going well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everyone knows their strengths and weaknesses, and
Yeah.
sometimes you need to protect that creative energy.
Mm,
Create. So I totally understand that. Hopefully, when I get bigger, I can
mm,
outsource and I can just delegate some of the stuff which I don't really want to do.
yeah.
Because and I feel like why not have managers, because
Yeah.
you can use your time differently and use it more
Mm,
productively when doing like spreadsheets or something what you just probably don't want to do. Not
yeah,
here
exactly.
on spreadsheets, but I'm just saying that.
No, it's just long. It's just
Just
long and hard, and I don't like it.
fair enough. Okay, let's live our life wisely. So as we come to the end of this podcast, I always ask people, what is the best thing people ever said about your songs, or testimonial, or best review? Like what can you think of?
I think I've had. That's the nice thing about Instagram as well. Obviously, you'll get people just hitting you up, out of nowhere. The best thing someone said about my song, I don't know. I've had people be like, "Oh, this
Or your
is."
music in general then?
Do you know what? Like all that I can think, or people be like, "Oh, this is amazing. This is lovely. Ah, this has touched my soul. This is genius." Da, da, da. All these just kind of just nice things. But one thing that really stood out to me was like a couple days ago, I got this like message on Insta that was like, ah, your music is beautiful. When are you coming to Italy? Because I want to cry with you live in front of me, which was it was a weird comment, but at the same time, I was like, this is quite sweet because you're like saying like it's emotive enough that you
Woman,
want. Yeah, yeah, that was a little bit.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Not trying to take away your. I'm sorry. I should like. I should no. Let you let you bask in the glory. I
No,
should.
I didn't know because I didn't really know if it was one of them or it's just like you love the art and so yeah. So obviously, yeah,
Oh
that
no!
was the freshest
Did
thing
I
in my
just rain on
mind.
your did I just rain on your parade? Oh no! Oh no! Okay.
No, no. I mean, okay, maybe it's not for the talent now. I'm heartbroken. I thought it was just the
Oh
music and that.
no! But it's good that you get people from like Italy and someone
That's dope.
to express that emotion, because I feel like when
Yeah,
people say that to openly say I cry, it's not like I want to have sex with you or something. It's like she
yeah,
wants
yeah,
to feel something, and I feel music
yeah,
touch people in so many different ways. I just can't even comprehend and put them into words or articulate it. So it's good that
yeah.
someone expressed that and was vulnerable to do that.
Yeah, I was touched. I was like, I woke up actually kind of hungover, and that was the first message I saw. I was like, that's very sweet. That's nice. That like,
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah,
And
unusual, but it was nice.
unusual, but at least it's unfiltered. It's raw, isn't it? So,
Yeah, yeah,
did you
totally.
say anything after that, or any other thing? Was there just one message and
Yeah, I always like when people hit me up, I always reply because I'm like, if you've taken the time to listen to my music and feel strongly enough that you want to talk to me about it, I was just like, thank you so much. Like, hopefully, I'll be able to do a show in Italy soon.
okay? I forgot. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask you. Okay, so who are your musical influences? Who all you love, and
Yeah,
where was the best place you performed pre-COVID? You know.
musical influences. I'd say artistically, I would say Kanye. That whole career, but like, I was listening to some podcast on it today, and that actually helped me get the arc for my project. Kanye just creatively, I think it's crazy. Drake just makes bangers. And then there's a lot of artists in the UK who I'm like, just the way you paint pictures with your words, Bugsy Malone. I really loved Cadet before he passed. And there's so many people, but I think Kanye is probably my biggest creative influence
Or musically, how what? Which
musically,
musically? Okay.
and also just and I was influenced mainly in the time of my beautiful dark twisted fantasy and before and Yeezus actually, but before and it's like I don't know, just painting a picture with abstract. When I started singing more instead of rapping, it was because I actually it was over during the time of like all the BLM stuff, and my like I just found it an inability to open up with like explicitly with words, And what I found with singing was that I could tell a story just with my like the tone of my voice, or like with not actually saying something, but I'm still saying it. And I think there's a lot of that in some of Kanye's music, where I'm like, the tone or the way you're saying something conveys the emotion rather than the words.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. He's so talented, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I try not to.
I know it's techie, it's
It's so
technical.
hard sometimes to take away the person from the
Yeah.
artist, but sometimes I see not like I'm like it. Sometimes I want to have some of the things what he has, like that self belief.
Yeah.
Has it's just to none. That self
Yeah.
belief, and I'm more seeing it in the fashion world, like where he's just created this brand and culture.
Yeah.
For me, I always will see myself. I always say to people, I want to be the Kanye of jewelry.
Yeah.
I want to see how people see jewelry cultures. That's how I want to be. I
Oh.
want to be like when someone goes to Soho and there's Supremo Yeezys and they wait in line for 6 hours in the rain. I will walk in Soho before COVID time, and I see these like Asian people. Not saying we're racist. I'm just saying they're usually Asian meaning from the Far East, and they line up in rain. And like, what? I'm like being sort of like, why are you waiting? Are we gonna get a Supreme t-shirt? And I'm just like, for a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's a masterclass in branding and hype and making something.
They'll sit there and they will like camp outside for that t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like £200 t-shirt. And I'm just like,
yeah.
It's
No,
not
it's crazy.
saying I would make people do that for me, but if I could create that
Yeah.
and that brand loyalty, not like blindly, like they really love my jewelry and and I'll do a jewelry drop and I'll be like Kanye West, like the Yeezys, the jewelry Yeezys for jewelry, that would be my dream, because I feel like jewelry gets so overlooked. It's something what is like close to our skin. We tell so much stories about it. I think the way how I don't know, the way how you told your story about your jewelry.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get that when you're wearing a piece of clothing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's such, and usually if you go to a gallery or a museum and you see a brooch of jewelry, you were interested in that jewelry that lives on. The clothes usually deteriorate, so it's like it's timeless kind of artifacts or things what we have. And I feel that how much people talk about the fashion and how much people spend and how an intimate relationship with jewelry. I just think it's very underappreciated. That's my skill.
No, totally.
But yeah, okay.
That's
So how do we find you? Obviously, if it's going to be in the show notes, but Xadi, tell us how to connect with your creative endeavors.
So my probably the platforms I use most are Spotify and Instagram. So Spotify, Xadi, Xadi. So Instagram, Xadi Boy, Xadi.
Okay, cool.
EOI, because the handle was taken. And YouTube's that. It's just there's only one of me. So if you type in Xadi, you'll find me.
Okay, perfect. Well, we come to the end of the podcast. I really appreciate you, Xadi.
Thank you.
On Instagram. Thank you for telling me about all of your creative endeavors. This is Create For You podcast with your host, Cassandra Lauren Gordon, and we'll speak soon. Speak next week. Much appreciated.